Welcome to Drysen Learns Things. I am Drysen, and right now I'm actually in Camp Mograph. If you're watching this on YouTube, you'll notice my suitcase down here in the corner. Frankly, I'm just too lazy to move it for the recording. This is the show where typically I interview marketing directors and marketing people like you. So if you'd like to be on the show, shoot me an email at drysen@madebythings.com, and I'd love to figure out what campaign we're going to talk about, what we're going to brag about for the work you've done. But since this is a new show and I'm still figuring out how the whole guest thing works and how to get content to you every single day, this is going to be a solo episode talking about an experience and a thing that I learned previous in my career. This is around 2020. We started the conversation in 2019, and then COVID happened, and it was a whole, oh man, did it make an interesting challenge being a production guy in that time frame. But this was a show that was designed, it was a nationally broadcast documentary on the channel RFD, which is a national channel for rural farmers and Americans that, like farming. That's the bottom line, I guess. And there are two farmers. Their names are Randy Dowdy and David Hula. That they are the world best, or at the time frame, they were the world best corn growers and the world best soybean growers. Literally, the best farmers in the world. And they had a program that if you were a farmer and wanted to join in, you could sign up, be a part of their community, get access to the relationships, to the knowledge, the data, and just really get a lot of behind-the-scenes information on what you need to become a better farmer. That was what the program was. And we had the idea of, hey, what if we did a twofold thing of, A, we made a really entertaining TV show that also gave you an insight behind the curtain of what it looked like to work with and be at the level of the world best. And so the show was developed to be take this washed out floodplain piece of land in Omaha, have the world best farmers come in and say, this is what we need to do. This is how our program works. Give you a peek behind the curtain of how much work there is to it. And then if you want to, you can sign up and when you see the results here. And if there's anything that's more chaotic than doing a documentary, run and gun guerrilla style documentary, it's doing it about agriculture because not only is agriculture, it changes at the drop of a hat, sometimes hour by hour. It makes it really hard when, our studio was based in Sioux Falls, South Dakota or Baltic, South Dakota, and we'd have to go to Omaha on a whim. Or if we wanted to go watch the world record holders, we'd have to go to Virginia or to Georgia. And that's really, really hard to do just spontaneously, because they might be like, hey, we're going to combine next week. Just kidding. It's tomorrow. It's ready to go. We have to go right now. And so it's really hard to build a show when you can't schedule anything. And that's not even assuming like it's too windy to record audio because the microphones pick up the wind noise, or it's, XYZ, you name it. But we even had to throw a more interesting challenge on here because the show was supposed to launch, and I think in May of 2020. And if anyone has a history book, you'll remember that's like right at shutdown time. I think everything shut down in March, and we're like, there's no we can't film this. We can't do. What do we do? And luckily, one way to get around that, because the show by its very nature, we are social distancing. We are out in the middle of a cornfield, in the middle of nowhere, with acres between people. We're going to be fine. We just have to figure out how to get there. And so RFD, the network, actually sent us their private jet. And we could actually travel the country, not necessarily Sioux Falls to Omaha, but like Sioux Falls to Virginia or Sioux Falls to Georgia on a private jet to go grab the footage we needed. Now, on the outside, that sounds amazing. And it was. It was really swanky. And in fact, when the show ended and I had to start traveling again for either Camp Mograph or different conferences that I do, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot. I'm poor. I'm sitting back in economy again. Kind of a little wake-up call. But it was interesting because sometimes, again, with that schedule of not knowing when what was going to happen, we also had to work around the schedule of RFD's jet, because it wasn't like they were sending this thing to us specifically, because that's tens of thousands of dollars to fly somebody commercially like that. So we had to be ready to go when the plane just happened to be in the area that they needed to go to. And so there was one day I remember we got to work, and my boss said, "Hey, you guys are leaving like if not tonight, tomorrow morning. So go pack a bag. Go home and pack a bag right now because we don't know when you're leaving." And then when we finally got on the airplane, I think we were going to be gone for like 3 days. And then we got on the airplane and we asked the pilot, like, "Hey, when are we coming back?" And they're like, "Oh, in about like 10 days." And we're like, "Oh no, our wives are going to kill us." And then we get out there, we get everything set up, we start filming, and I think it was like 24 hours from us landing, we got a text from the owner saying, "Hey, just kidding, you guys are coming back like tomorrow, get on the plane." And so it was just another crazy thing to kind of work on. But one challenge with this is we wanted to make sure that we weren't just like saying, the world record holders say do this. We really wanted to focus on the work that was happening, the story, the challenges, but we also didn't want to make it like a traditional reality TV show where it's like, let's stir up drama and make things happen, because farming in general is already as dramatic as it needs to be. You know, if a farmer puts in $1 million of inputs in the ground and it doesn't rain, then that's a lot. That's a lot. So it was really, really interesting to kind of sit back and go, okay, how do we tell the story? Let things ride as they do, let their expertise and their knowledge come to fruition, and just give people that are viewing it an inside glimpse of what it's like, some of those secrets that typically you have to pay for to know how they can run their own farm and how they get better ideas. And it was just enough of a taste that it would disarm somebody to say, okay, I see the value now. Okay, I am interested in learning more. There's obviously social proof. It's on TV. It works. And people are having success with it. So yeah, I think I want to do this. And so that was the entire premise of the show. Ultimately, the question as marketers, we all want to know is, did it work? Did it prove a positive ROI? And and again, I don't have the hard data. I was just the production crew. So I'm just kind of leaning in about how things work and thinking about, that general ROI. Dollar per dollar, did it probably work out? Probably not. Like, they probably didn't make as much money as it cost to put the show in. But it did have an interesting side effect where people who wanted to be on the show could now donate materials that would typically cost tens and thousands of, if not $500,000, would donate the materials to be on that show as sponsorships. And so it leveraged things so the show could be produced, the people could receive better stuff, and give people an inside glance at what it looks like to work with a world-class production suite. And so in that way, I think it was really powerful to build this production farm, to give people an inside look at what it's like working with a world-class farmer, and just in general build that trust so people are more willing to take that next step. Because I think in the farming world, just about everyone knows that program exists, and I think a lot of people are just kind of like, man, they can do it on their farm, but their dirt's different than my dirt. They couldn't do it here. We couldn't do it there. And so ultimately we went and we proved them wrong to say, hey, we went to a terrible place that was floodplain, washed out garbage, and we still managed to do this top level thing. So yeah, I think it was kind of a cool little way that we had a national broadcast TV show that helped showcase the expertise of world-class farmers and give farmers that wanted to up their production game an inside, entertaining way, educational way on how to do that on their own farm. So that is just my little story for here today. This was, again, sponsored by the Made by Things Discovery Workshop. If you want to learn more about that, go to madebythings.com/discovery, and I will see you in the next episode. Goodbye. Drysen Learns Things is brought to you by the Discovery Workshop from Made by Things. If you are looking for a content partner to help you brainstorm, set goals, and create content that truly resonates with your audience, check us out at madebythings.com/discovery.